Hello, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all okay out there. Welcome to the first session of day 2 of Stella Live 2021, What Cat Did Next. I'm Caroline Leaper and I'm the Senior Fashion Editor at The Telegraph. And joining me on the call this morning is Cat Deeley, the television presenter and fashion designer. We're here to talk all about Cat's return to London after 14 years in Hollywood, as well as her personal style tips and her new adventures as a knitwear designer. So without further ado, it's time to bring in Cat. She can switch on her video and come out from behind the virtual curtains.
There I am.
There she is. That
Good
tense
morning.
minute where you don't know if they're going to come out from the curtains. Oh,
No, and it's so weird because we've been doing Zoom calls now for however long, like
I
2
know.
years now. But even still, when it happens and it comes up, I always go,
Oh, what a relief. Exactly. I think we need to kick off by acknowledging the fact that you're in a hotel room in Australia right now. It's the evening for you. How's your jet lag?
It's so weird. It's so bonkers. I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, I'm in Australia, so I'm shooting a pilot for a new TV show that is for America. But because we can't shoot anything in America at the moment, like lots of other productions, we're shooting in Australia. So I've done all of the right things. I have quarantined. I've done the COVID tests. I came through Singapore. I now have to stay in this one room for 14 days all by myself, still having COVID tests. The nurses come to the door and I almost don't let them leave because I'm just like, please just
company.
please,
At least you've got lovely lilies there. You've got a nice setup. It doesn't look like the worst quarantine in the world. It's looking good.
Caroline, if you look the other way, if I turn the camera the other way, it would be an entirely different story, as I think you could attest to, following up on our kind of like brief tech issues. But this side of the camera, it's lovely. I will post later what
the reality. Yes, we'd love to see that. I need to ask you all about kind of the last year for you though, because obviously 2020 was a huge year. After sort of 14 years of living in America, you and your young family all decided to move back to London. So tell us a little bit about that decision. And obviously you didn't know there'd be a pandemic.
I mean, we had no idea. So it was I mean, the whole thing was so weird. We were toying with the idea, when we'd always been toying with the idea. I think when you are single or when you're a couple on your own, it's so much easier to travel all the time and you can be so much more fluid as a couple. Whereas the minute you have children, all of a sudden it's like school and half term and holidays and all that kind of stuff. And I think also family becomes so important because you only have that small window of time where everybody can hang out together and they want to hang out together. And, you know, when I see my boys with grandma and granddad or granny or any of the family, cousins, it's so lovely to see. And we kind of wanted to give them that. And you know, there is only so, you have to find out what's most important to you. And for us, the most important thing is we will never get these moments back again. And so we had to do it. And so if that means transferring everybody over to the UK, and then if I needed to fly back for work, be able to fly back and have an infrastructure in place to accommodate that, that works just brilliantly. So we flew everybody over. Milo started a new school. We did the whole thing because James was too little when we first flew back. He started now though.
Yeah.
And we managed to do it, managed to turn it around in no time at all when the headmistress said to us, listen, if you can start him in January instead of the September, he'll be one of 5 starting at the same time. And we kind of looked at each other. It was Halloween and we went, shall we do it? And Paddy was like, yeah, we'll do it. We can do this. We can do this. So we did it. He went. He had a lovely time. We were high-fiving each other, and then a pandemic strikes, and we were just like, "Oh my goodness! What do we do now? We've still got a house in LA. We've still got stuff to do there." And like anybody else at the moment, and you must be exactly the same. We're muddling through. Everything changed, and I think there was a massive scramble to go, okay, you know, what's your industry? What's my industry? How's it going to look now? What are we going to do? And we changed and evolved and adapted. I think we're on the right side of it again now, weirdly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people's I think people's perceptions have changed a little bit, and I think maybe we do value more time with our family than we used to before. And I think maybe people will put in less time at the office and more time at home. And I think maybe it was time for a shift, weirdly.
Well, that said, you've still picked up tons of work since being back in the UK. Obviously, you've still got all your American projects going on as well, but we've all seen you on Lorraine. We've seen you on Saturday Night Takeaway. You've done your Stella cover. I think we've got a picture of that. Oh, look at that. There she is. Yeah, you've had lots going on since you've been back here. So how was it to adjust? Have you just sort of felt like you've slotted back in with all your old colleagues, Ant and Dec and Lorraine? And
you know what? I loved it. It was so nice. Everybody was so happy and like smiley, and it was such a nice warm welcome. It was lovely to see the lads again. That was amazing. And listen, it's always like no time passes. Well, no, hold on. When I say it was amazing, it wasn't amazing when they punked me. That was
right,
not amazing.
yeah.
I basically wanted to kick their butts.
Yeah, you were saying your kids were a bit traumatized by that as well.
They were like, Mum, did you save the koala? And then they said, why were your brothers trying to burn you, Mum?
Yeah, like, okay, they were trying to set fire. Yeah.
Let's just start off with the fact they're not my brothers. So let's start there and let's work on from there. So I've already threatened them. They're both paying for my kids' therapy. When they have to pay, they're paying for it. And then the thing with the Lorraine, she actually said she was off. She always has half terms off. And she actually put me forward for it. You know, we've known each other for years and years. And her little girl, who's not a little girl anymore, by the way, she's like 24 or something really scary. Rosie would always come down to the show when we were doing the show. And so Lorraine was off, and so she was the person who put me forward for the job. It's so funny when all these things get written about in the media, and it's all, you know, pitching two women against each other. I hate that, because that is not, nobody's team this person or team that person. As women, we are in a team together. Totally. And she was actually the person who put me forward for the job. So I spoke to her afterwards, and she said, oh gosh, it was so good. You did such a great job. And I said, oh my God, thank you so much. I said, I had to call the team in 20 minutes before you did, just so you know. I was like, I'm not the professional here. I'm like, I'm really sorry. You're going to have to get out of bed 20 minutes before. Is that all right? And they were like, all right then. You're not Lorraine, but you'll do. You'll do.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, the other big thing that you've been doing in the past kind of couple of months is you've launched your first knitwear collection with Windsor London. So tell me a little bit about that. And also, had you always kind of had ambitions to do design and to get into fashion?
I have loved fashion ever since I've been a little girl. And whether that was just, I mean, it just started off as just frocks. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't know it as fashion, but I loved dressing up. I loved outfits. My mom always encouraged me to have an opinion. I was really lucky like that. And I could wear anything, whatever I wanted. If I wanted to wear a three-piece suit or dungarees or a football kit or a flouncy dress that spun around, it didn't matter. She didn't mind, as long as I got an opinion about it. And so, yeah, what happened was Kim from Windsor London came to me and said, look, would you be interested in doing a knit line? And I said, you know what, I actually really would. I've got a few ideas, and I loved the brand anyway. I loved everything that the brand stood for in terms of, you know, it wasn't disposable. It was luxurious. It was investment pieces that you don't just throw away. I think everybody's kind of got to that stage as well now, where we all need to do our bit for the planet, and fashion can't just be as disposable as it once was. Yeah. I'm also a vintage person, as you know. This is vintage actually that I'm wearing today. It's vintage Valentino that I found in New Orleans for $70.
As you do. How
Not
lovely.
bad, right?
Very good.
I couldn't figure out whether to put it on back to front before, or if this bit should go through this loop, because you don't know if you're buying it
whichever
secondhand,
way
you don't know.
round, whichever way
Doesn't
round,
matter.
it looks good. Yeah, you
Doesn't
have
matter.
got a very impressive vintage collection. We are going to come
I
back to
do.
that, actually, I think,
do
in a
love
minute.
vintage. So yeah, so she said to me, "What would you like to do?" And I said, I've got this image. There was a photographer called George Barris, and in 1962 he took the last picture of Marilyn Monroe, and it's probably one, if anybody's watching this, they've probably got it in their head somewhere. It's somewhere probably in the back of their brain, and it's when she's on the beach and she's got this big cardigan wrapped around her, and hers has got a belt on. Mine has a zip, but hers has got a belt on, and it's clearly like one of those pieces that she always keeps in a wardrobe, and you know that she's been on the beach all day, she's a bit windswept. You know that the sun like makes her skin smell of sunshine and her bones are warm, and she's kind of like throwing this over when it gets a bit cooler in the evening, and that's what I was kind of aiming for.
You had the mood board, yeah, you had the vibe, exactly.
And that was the feel, really, and mixed with a bit of Big Lebowski and Jeff Bridges, who I think can do no wrong, he's the dude, and a little bit of Steve McQueen boating. And so that was the idea, and thankfully, you know, Kim's designers are amazing, and so my lack of knowledge in terms of yarns and technical wording, and I didn't know, but I knew what I wanted to create. So they had an amazing team who helped me.
That, and you're also doing a perfume, I've discovered. Tell me about that. How do you get into that, and how did you even start?
It's so left field, but it's been going on for years. So one of my best friends, and I'm talking like I'm godmother to her children, and I was there when her children were born and all that kind of stuff, who we've known each other for 20 years. We met each other on SMTV. She's a makeup artist, Amanda, her name. And we've always been best friends. Anyway, about 11 years ago, she created this perfume, and she just mixed different things in her kitchen, almost a bit Jo Malone-esque, at her kitchen table with oils. So it's like a perfume oil.
Yeah.
And she'd wear it, and wherever she wore it, people would love it. I mean, like, wear it. She'd go and do fashion shows, and Isabel Marant would say, could I do it, can we make it into candles so we can do it on the show? Or like, I'd wear it to the Emmys, and Juliana wouldn't ask me about being 6 months pregnant and it's been 98 degrees. She'd ask me, oh my God, what are you wearing? You smell amazing. And it's this smell that everybody remembers. It's warm, but it feels like cleansing and spa-like. It's amazing. So it can make even the stinkiest dressing room smell amazing if you rub it on a tissue and put it on a lamp. And so we'd always talked about making it. And then obviously 2 years ago, the pandemic hit. And like most women, I turned around and went, right, what are we going to do? Because what I do at the moment and what she did, that nothing was going on. What are we going to do? And we also were looking out for an excuse to hang out with each other too.
Yes,
and so,
the ultimate.
And so we went, shall we do the perfume? And so we've started to do it. But you, unfortunately, you can't do it the Jo Malone way anymore. Like, it has to be all tested. It's all organic. It's all environmentally friendly. Even our packaging, our glass that we get from mirroring glass, it has to keep everything stable. It all has to be tested. So we're in that process right now, but we're looking at it coming out in September.
That is very nice. It's called what?
Really 11, but with a double one for the 11. But it's really, you know what? It's one of those things that I've dreamed about doing for ages, and so has she. And she's my best friend, and the time was just right, and I think people will really love it. It's just something you just cannot forget the smell, and it's so gorgeous for men and women.
That is sounds like a lovely project. We need to get into your style more as well. So I know you have the most impressive wardrobe, but also you quite refreshingly style yourself for when you do TV appearances and things like that, whereas lots of people obviously use professional stylists. So tell us all at home a little bit about your approach, and do you plan outfits really far in advance? Are you really organized? How does it work?
Nope. No, definitely not. And the reason I actually do it is not because there aren't great stylists out there. There are amazing stylists. And I have to say, for things like award shows or when I need a gown, I need a stylist. I can't even get in and out of those frocks on my own, let alone, I can't even have a wee in those dresses on my own, let alone like find them and source them. So let's start there. Stylists are amazing. However, my thought is always, like anybody else, depending on what you've got to do during a day, and whether that is meeting your boyfriend's mother for the first time, or going to see your business manager, or going for an interview for a new job, or whatever that is, you dress to prepare yourself. So it's like the suit of armor that you put on to go into battle. Whatever that battle is, and maybe it isn't a battle, maybe it's something really beautiful and nice, but whatever it is, you put it on to make yourself feel great and feel indestructible.
Yeah.
And we all have those things in our wardrobe, right? Like,
Definitely.
I bet you, what's your go-to?
I mean, this is a dress that I love at the moment for exactly that reason. It's the thing that makes you feel like happy and ready to take on something, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, you could do anything in it. And so that was my thinking, essentially. So for me, it's always that thing of it won't make a bad performance good, but it will make a good performance great, because you feel so comfortable.
You feel great, yeah.
And you feel confident. And then also from a practical side point of view, I also know I've got to fit a mic pack in the back and an earpiece most times, and it's got to clip onto something. And where's it going to clip onto so it doesn't like fall apart? And by the way, most camera people are men, and so they will chop you off at any angle. So if you're in like some beautiful, I don't know, Emma Wixted gown, like dress, but you need to see your legs to like get the structure of it.
And the world will never know.
And they would never know because it's cut you off here and it's doing this or that, or it's weird. Yeah. And it's so it came from a level of practicality. And then since I've had my boys, I would also I'd rather be playing Thomas the Tank Engine with them than trying on 5 pairs of jeans if I've got one that I know is great. You know, like it's practical. Absolutely. It's because I enjoy it, and it's because I now have this wardrobe where because I've been doing that for so long, I've kind of just held on to things because I can make a budget work too. Because essentially then I'll turn around and I'll go, okay, so what's my budget? Okay, fine. Well, I'll wear Zara this week, and then I might do Givenchy the next, and then I'll do this, and I make it work.
Is that, you mean a budget, like when you do a new show, they give you a wardrobe budget? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can plan how you want to spend it. I mean, that's a dream in itself.
Well, because also I'm not employing a stylist. So essentially I'm going, okay, give me the budget and I'll make it work.
What about when you're going on a big trip though? Like obviously you're in Australia now. How did you decide what to take with you? And what sort of packing tips can you offer for everyone at home who wants to plan sort of a capsule?
I mean, my thing is always, I would always take carry-on. I mean, I couldn't for this one because it's too long. I'm in quarantine for 14 days. And also this is a boring packing trip because it's all tracksuits essentially. Caroline, I'm going to be very honest. But if I'm doing something like New York or something like that, I would always just take carry-on. And what I tend to do is I take one really big out there piece, because I would normally be going to either do Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or whatever it is. And then I will keep a neutral color palette. So I'll do everything in kind of like creams, whites, blacks.
Yes,
grays,
smart.
marking.
And then you know it can all be mixed and matched.
And then my other massive thing is a really fabulous scarf. I love Dries for amazing, beautiful embroidered scarves that you can never put a time or a date on. They're incredible, and you can use them forever. And a big statement earring too. So I can throw on a leather jacket with a white t-shirt with some black jeans, but throw on a massive scarf and some ginormous earrings, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, and then I think we'll cut to a few audience questions. So just a reminder to everybody, if you've got a question for Cat, please pop it on the chat box on the right-hand side. But Cat, I'd like to know, first of all, how has your style kind of evolved generally over the years? And when you look back to the start of your career and compared to that, how do you feel about it? All your hands are in your hair.
Oh no, it's a bit like having your baby pictures out. You know what I mean? It's a bit like having your baby pictures, but I do feel as though it has evolved. I think there was definitely a time where it was. I remember Vogue doing an issue that was all about British television, and they shot me and Joe Wiley in the back of a car, and it was. And they basically talked about how it was all about jeans and a sparkly top, and you could kind of go anywhere, and a sandal. And I think probably before my style was a little bit more bodycon, maybe.
Weren't we all?
We all were. And I think fashion was a lot more disposable before too. I think we've moved on from that too. I think we don't necessarily think to ourselves, okay, well, let's go. There was always the thing when I was a kid where you'd go to Topshop and you'd get yourself a little top to go with your jeans that night, and you'd save up and you'd go out, and then you'd go out in the evening. I think it's not as disposable as it once was, and I think people are buy smarter.
Yeah.
Also,
you love vintage. Yeah, you love vintage so much now. So are you looking for things with a story and things that you'll hang on to because they're a bit precious?
Yeah, and to be honest, I always have done. I would always, because when I say about budgets for shows, they're normally rubbish. Like I normally have to really beg, like I have to beg people and ask for favors and like ask to borrow stuff and all those. I mean, like they're rubbish. They're not great. Like you have to really work it. And so I would always go to Portobello. We do that even when I was doing SMTV and CD UK, and I had a stylist called Charlie, and we would go, who's still one of my best mates now, we would go and we'd go to Portobello and go and hunt and find stuff. And it was, and I remember Preen was like a little shop like within Portobello, and you find these amazing people that have kind of like come through that way. I love old vintage pieces. It's my favorite thing in the world, and the best places to do it are places where, listen, vintage is always amazing in London or in New York or in LA, but if you go to somewhere else, like this was from New Orleans.
Yes.
Or I've got like pieces from like from Salt Lake City or like Palm Springs, like weird little places, nooks where not everybody is looking for the same thing. And so you come across this treasure, and it's so exciting because you don't know what you're going to find. Some days you find something, and some days you find nothing at all.
And often a lot cheaper, because the person in an obscure town somewhere else might not know the value of the thing that they had. So you can pick up real gems.
Totally doesn't have any idea. Or by the way, you can just go to, like a car boot sale or like a flea market in LA, and so you'll turn around and all of a sudden you'll say, oh my God, there's so many amazing little like 60s dresses with like this amazing beading on it. It's like, yeah, we just got these right now, and they're $20 a pop.
Exactly.
I'll take them all.
I'd love to know as well, is there a tip or something that somebody taught you along the way in your career that has stuck with you, a fashion tip? Has anyone ever given you a great little nugget of advice that has really stuck with you? A designer or a...
I think the thing is, you can change anything, and I think you can change anything. So you can alter a hemline, or you can do anything. So you could find something on the outnet. I've done this before, working a budget on a show. Find something on the outnet and go, oh my God, I'm going to get it 2 sizes bigger, and then I'm just going to nip it in at the waist with a giant belt, or I'm going to just get the hem, and it's some kind of ball gown, but because it's so reduced in price, I'm like, well, let's just cut it off and let's make it a mini, or do something like that with it. And I also don't throw things away. Things that I don't think are disposable, don't throw away, because you wear them again. I wore old Tom Ford Gucci to Jessie Tyler Ferguson's wedding. I did a thing the other day. I was going to a baby to baby event in LA, and I put this dress on, and I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like it. It just wasn't. So I dug through my wardrobe, and I got an old Gucci dress, but like an old 90s Tom Ford. Remember Tony Braxton, the video where it was like the really bodycon dresses, but with the metal bits with the cutouts. I wore it, you can see it, it's on I wore it in red, and I just squeezed back into it, held my breath a little bit, and I was back, and
off you went.
And off I went with padding on my arm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right, we have a couple of audience questions before we wrap up. So first of all, I'm going to read Ranjit has sent a question.
Yeah.
They say, hi Kat, I think you're fab and very stylish. How would you define your style?
I don't think I'm specifically one thing or the other. I think it's very eclectic. I think it completely depends, but I think it's pretty girl next door with the odd little fandango thrown in. Is that a technical term? I don't know.
A few sparkles and spangles and a bit of glam.
Earring or an old Valentino shirt, or just a little bit of something thrown at it.
Yeah. Ashley has asked, we all enjoyed you on Lorraine. Would you like to do more breakfast TV? And is it harder to get a permanent role in British TV because you're in the US as well? Fair question.
No, it's not. I don't think it's harder to get a role at all. I think it's just a matter of right place, right time. And also, if it works for me, because I've got 2 little boys too, and I don't want to miss this time with them either. So I have to be very careful about what I do and exactly. But no, it's lovely to be back, and I'm just really enjoying it. It's so nice, but it's like there's this weird period of time for probably about the past 10 years where, because I was over there, I've got this 10-year like window where I have to say to everybody, what's that? How did that work again? Like, I just don't know. Yeah.
Lost in translation, but you'll remember.
Exactly.
Georgia said, your skin is gorgeous. What are your favorite brands and products?
Okay, so at the moment I am using Barbara Sturm day serum and night serum. I use Dr. Hauschka moisturizer, and I also like Nutrix, but I like very heavy. I like heavy oils. I like the Vintner's Daughter too. I like heavy oils. I go to sleep at night like a greasy potato chip in pajamas.
Are you quite consistent with your skincare, or are you someone who likes to try new products all the time?
I do try them occasionally, actually, because I also like there's certain ones, like I always use Dr. Lance's polish. There's like a polish that's like a face wash. I love that. So there's certain ones that I stick to. Hauschka, I love just the rose day cream, because any makeup can go on top of it, and it doesn't matter what anybody uses on me, it just works. But yeah, I tend to be quite, but also what I've really got into now is taking collagen and vitamin D. I think there's a load to be said for that too.
Yeah. Sarah has asked, what was your favourite scarf brand? You said Dries, didn't you? Dries Van Noten?
Dries Van Noten, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the guy stuff too. That's always the other thing. Go for the guy stuff. I've got the talking of old stuff in the wardrobe. Do you remember years and years ago when Kanye went to the Brits in a red, he got like a red band jacket on with gold,
Yes.
like epaulette, and there was all those gold women.
Yeah.
I bought that jacket before Kanye, but it's the boys version of that jacket, and I love it. It's still in my wardrobe. Christian Dior, but the boys version.
Brilliant. I mean, yeah, you hang on to things like
I do.
perhaps no one I've ever spoken to before, but that is lovely though, because then you've got all these stories to bring out. We're about to wrap up. My final question to you is London or Los Angeles, style-wise, which one does your heart lie in?
Oh,
having lived in LA for 14 years, has it had an impact?
It definitely has, but when I say to you, I'm very jeans and a t-shirt, like that is a little bit kind of girl next door and quite LA. Like I feel, to me, LA is very kind of bohemian, hippie. I think Kate Hudson, Rachel Zoe, Nicole Richie, but then I love kind of London for the street style and the leather and the kind of punk of it all, and the fact you can wear a ball gown with Doc Martens. I love that. I think someone who traverses it beautifully is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. I mean, for me, she can do no wrong, that girl. Like she traverses the two like this dream boat.
You can be diplomatic and say both. You can say a bit both. Yeah.
Right.
We'll let you.
I'll say, yeah, okay, fine. I'll leave the velour tracksuits over in LA.
Well, Cat, thank you so much for your time. And obviously, yeah, we're gonna let you go back into your quarantine now on your own. Sorry about that. Just
sniff a lily.
Yeah, sniff your lilies. Thank you so much as well to everyone who's joined us this morning. So thank you all for joining us, and enjoy the rest of Stella Live.
Thanks,
Bye.
Caroline.